Brought to you by WikiVidi documentaries. Denmark. Denmark, officially the Kingdom of Denmark, is a Scandinavian country in Europe, and a sovereign state. The southernmost of the Nordic countries, it is southwest of Sweden, and south of Norway, and bordered to the south by Germany. The Kingdom of Denmark also comprises two autonomous constituent countries in the North Atlantic Ocean, the Faroe Islands and Greenland. Denmark itself has a total area including Greenland and the Faroe Islands and a population of 5.75 million. European Denmark consists of a peninsula, Jutland, and an archipelago of 443 named islands, with the largest being Zealand, Funen and the North Jutlandic Island. The islands are characterized by flat, arable land and sandy coasts, low elevation and a temperate climate. The unified Kingdom of Denmark emerged in the 10th century as a proficient seafaring nation in the struggle for control of the Baltic Sea. Denmark, Sweden, and Norway were ruled together under the Kalmar Union, established in 1397 and ending with Swedish secession in 1523. Denmark and Norway remained under the same monarch until outside forces dissolved the union in 1814. The union with Norway made it possible for Denmark to inherit the Faroe Islands, Iceland, and Greenland. Beginning in the 17th century, there were several cessions of territory to Sweden. In the 19th century there was a surge of nationalist movements, which were defeated in the 1864 Second Schleswig War. Denmark remained neutral during World War I. In April 1940, a German invasion saw brief military skirmishes while the Danish resistance movement was active. From 1943 until the German surrender in May 1945. An industrialized exporter of agricultural produce in the second half of the 19th century, Denmark introduced social and labor market reforms in the early 20th century that created the basis for the present welfare state model with a highly developed mixed economy. The Constitution of Denmark was signed on 5 June 1849, ending the absolute monarchy which had begun in 1660. It establishes a constitutional monarchy organized as a parliamentary democracy. The government and national parliament are seated in Copenhagen, the nation's capital, largest city, a main commercial center. Denmark exercises hegemonic influence in the Danish realm, devolving powers to handle internal affairs. Home rule was established in the Faroe Islands in 1948. In Greenland, home rule was established in 1979 and further autonomy in 2009. Denmark became a member of the European Economic Community in 1973, maintaining certain opt-outs. It retains its own currency, the krone. It is among the founding members of NATO, the Nordic Council, the OECD, OSCE, and the United Nations. It is also part of the Schengen area. Danes enjoy a high standard of living, and the country ranks highly in some metrics of national performance, including education, healthcare, protection of civil liberties, democratic governance, prosperity, and human development. The country ranks as having the world's highest social mobility. A high level of income equality, is the country, with the lowest perceived level of corruption in the world, has one of the world's highest per capita incomes, and one of the world's highest personal income tax rates. Etymology. The etymology of the word Denmark, and especially the relationship between Danes and Denmark, and the unifying of Denmark as a single kingdom, is a subject which attracts debate. This is centered primarily on the prefix Dan and whether it refers to the Dani or a historical person Dan, and the exact meaning of the mark ending Most handbooks derive the first part of the word, and the name of the people, from a word meaning flat land, related to German ten, threshing floor, English den, cave. The mark is believed to mean woodland or borderland, with probable references to the border forests in South Schleswig. The first recorded use of the word Danmark within Denmark itself is found on the two Jelling stones, which are rune stones believed to have been erected by Gorm the Old and Harald Bluetooth. The larger stone of the two is popularly cited as Denmark's baptismal certificate, though both use the word Denmark in the form of accusative Tanmark on the large stone and genitive Tanmarker on the small stone. The inhabitants of Denmark are there called Tani, or Danes, in the accusative. Prehistory. The earliest archaeological findings in Denmark date back to the interglacial period, from 1300–1100 BC. Denmark has been inhabited since around 12,500 BC, and agriculture has been evident since 3900 BC. The Nordic Bronze Age in Denmark was marked by burial mounds, which left an abundance of findings including lures and the sun chariot. During the pre-Roman Iron Age, native groups began migrating south, and the first tribal Danes came to the country between the pre-Roman and the Germanic Iron Age. In the Roman Iron Age, the Roman provinces maintained trade routes and relations with native tribes in Denmark, and Roman coins have been found in Denmark. Evidence of strong Celtic cultural influence dates from this period in Denmark and much of northwest Europe, and is among other things reflected in the finding of the Gundestrup cauldron. The tribal Danes came from the East Danish islands and Scania, and spoke an early form of North Germanic. Historians believe that before their arrival, most of Jutland and the nearest islands were settled by tribal Jutes. The Jutes migrated to Great Britain eventually, some as mercenaries by Brythonic King Vortigern, and were granted the southeastern territories of Kent, the Isle of Wight and other areas where they settled. They were later absorbed or ethnically cleansed by the invading Angles and Saxons, who formed the Anglo-Saxons. The remaining Jutish population in Jutland assimilated in with the settling Danes. A short note about the Dannean Jetica by the historian Jordanes is believed to be an early mention of the Danes, one of the ethnic groups from whom modern Danes have descended. The Danevirke defense structures were built in phases from the 3rd century forward, and the sheer size of the construction efforts in AD 737 are attributed to the emergence of a Danish king. A new runic alphabet was first used around the same time, and Ribe, the oldest town of Denmark, was founded about AD 700. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.